Crazy days out here, right?
A little bit.
Did you get your stuff taken care of, whatever you had to deal with?
Man, it's always you never finish, right? I know I've talked about my to-do list and very unsophisticated, just handwritten like this, right?
Hmm.
This is everything I didn't get done today, so got pushed for tomorrow.
Welcome to the real world, being an entrepreneur. Good evening, class. Greetings, class. How are you guys doing? It is good to see you. Good to be here. Come on in. Come on in. I'm hanging out with the big dog tonight. I am Chris Haskins, and I'm going to be your co-pilot as we fly over the United States and just talk about real estate investing and how to get an action plan together for us for the remainder of the year. And my good friend Dan Borrero is going to be talking with us about we're coming to Washington D.C. National Harbor. Woo! And
Really
Dan's going to
excited,
be
brother. Really excited to be
yeah.
sharing a room with you again and being in a room with excited people who want to actually better their lives through entrepreneurship and real estate investing. So I'm really, really excited to say the least.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool, man. So Dan's coming down from New York. I'm gonna be coming up from Virginia Beach. Let me do this, and we're gonna have a VIP lunch and learn. Dan and I have done these in the past. We want to meet you. We would like to drop some nuggets on you, get you in a room to network with other investors, other lenders, other people that are in the business doing things, movers and shakers. Because from my experience back when I was working full time at a job, it's hard to share those ideas around coworkers. It's hard to share those ideas around friends and family. It's hard to get those ideas, get those to electrify those ideas around people that aren't on the same frequency. What do you think about? What would you say to that, Dan?
So it's hard in my past experience. It was hard to speak to friends and family that, and there's absolutely nothing wrong about what I'm about to say if that's what makes you happy. Is we're indoctrinated from the beginning how you go to school, you get good grades, you go get a good job, then you're going to get a pension, and then you're going to be happy, right? If you live, let's say 10, 15 years after you retire.
Wow.
Whereas with people like you and I, we our mindset from day one doesn't allow us to think that way, right? So how do you talk to someone that is so focused on achieving the goal of getting good grades, getting a good job, and then retiring versus people like us who are, I could speak for myself. I didn't have the good grades, but I worked harder than the A students just to get a C. Um,
Wow.
right. So, and I knew I didn't want to go work for anyone because I didn't believe anybody would pay me my worth. And how do you talk to people that don't understand that, right? It's not their fault, neither is it your fault. You just made differently. So, no, but when you put yourself in a room like the room that we are creating this Sunday, everybody in that room has that mindset. Everybody in
Love it.
that room wants to get ahead. Everybody in that room is looking for the secret formula, and there is no secret formula. The secret is work hard, put stick to the process. Don't skip the process. Don't cheat the process, and you will achieve it.
I think I'm in fact I applaud people for sticking, having the humility to stick at a job because a job is a phenomenal asset for you to be able to borrow money. That's one
I,
thing that Dan and I didn't have. I didn't
right.
have that.
Well, not only that, I mean, when people call me up and they say, "Well, I want to fire my boss," I says, "Well, why do you want to do that? Let's talk about that, right? Because that job is providing you the W-2 that makes it easier for you to go get a loan versus Chris Haskins and I, because the banks don't like lending money to self-employed people, right? Because we
Mhm.
don't fit within the box, right? So why don't you leverage that job? Leverage that job for your health insurance, leverage that job for the social security contributions, leverage that job to provide you the income. I personally think jobs, when you have a 9 to 5 job, at one point you grow your business so much that you have to leave that job because now it's costing you money. But you don't
Mhm.
leave that job until that moment. You leverage that job to get you to the point that you want to get to.
So we're gonna do some training here tonight too, but the links in the video description is gonna be this coming Sunday. I look forward to meeting you in Washington, one of my favorite areas. It's just gonna be beautiful there. The meal that you're gonna get is gonna be world class. We're spending a ridiculous amount of money. We have a private room right there in National Harbor. I'm not even giving you the location because I don't want people showing up that unless they invest in the future. Winners only. Winners only. So you're gonna be surrounded by other people and come network. You don't know who's gonna be there. Your next partner, your next lender. Dan, it's a big thing going around the internet now. Talk with Cardi B. I don't know if you've seen it. Not that I'm interested in this mess. However, I
Actually,
think
it's so funny. I was going to actually respond to it and I kept my mouth shut, but go ahead.
here's the thing, Dan. Back when I was in the music business, right? There were two type of people. One person just did the business. Me, I did music business because I love the music. You know, I wanted it to be deep and intricate and meaningful. And then there were other people that were in the music business. They're like, look, man, I'm just in here to get paid. Boom, I don't care. Let's go make this business. I feel that you kind of, if you're in the music business for music only, you can't relate to the masses because you're making music just for you. And then the other side, if you're just doing business, you ain't got no love for the music part. So when I look at people like you, you're strictly business. However, in order for us to relate to the masses, we still have to tap into current events.
I agree. I agree 110%. Artists are really good at what they do. And if you're a, a real business person, you'll be really good at what you do. But artists, man, I got to tell you the truth. I have a sister who's an artist, and for years I would fight with her. But I've come to the realization we're just wired differently. And there's
Wired
nothing
different.
wrong with the way she thinks,
Mm-mm.
nor is it the way I think. It's just that we're wired differently.
Well, I'm bringing that up because I feel that I have studied and learned how to maintain mass appeal. That's why I believe my channel's done well. I've studied it for years, just being in the business. But this Cardi B thing, I'm bringing it up because I know you don't give two whatever about this Cardi B thing. However, I am asking you to address it so we can bring
So
this
let me ask you, are you
over.
asking me to address it from a landlord's point of view, or are you asking me to address it from just everyday citizen point of view?
I need you, Dan. I'm asking from this is my personal favor. I need
From
you to mix
business.
the two. I need you to mix the two. That's why when I was saying about that
So
business
Cardi
music
B's
thing,
mistake, she's made up, I can't tell you exactly what her mistakes are based on a 60-second clip, right?
yeah.
And is there a way for you to even bring that up and post it and put it up here?
Yeah, I can, man. Let's pull it up.
Because let's talk about it. Well, so Cardi B is basically complaining that she hasn't received rent from tenant in 9 months, I think it was. And apparently she's having some other problems with Airbnb rentals.
Are
And
you ready?
yeah,
This is good, man. This might be a new little thing we could do, Dan. We could do some current events and bring talk.
I love it, bro.
This is some good stuff here, man.
It'll be like that. What's that, TMZ on show business or something?
Yeah. Make sure you can hear it, Dan. I ain't played it yet, but
Haven't even paid fucking
can you hear it?
Yes.
rent for like 9 months. 9 months. And sometimes like we be so busy and like our house managers, like they'll be so busy that I'll be like, you know what? Don't even fucking take them to court because we just be so fucking tired. Like we don't even have time for that because we just be doing so much shit. Like sometimes people be like, oh, get property, get property, get property. Like, please, babe. Oh, let's not even talk about, oh shit. Let's not even talk about the Dominican Republic Airbnb that this nigga bought me. Always something. Please. I don't want properties as gift. I don't want properties as gift. Please. And we planning to buy another property. Like, well, we debating because it's like, we like tired of renting in LA. Like, it's like we really want to buy a house in LA, but we also like, it's like, do we want to buy a house in LA or do we want to buy something like in Miami? Like, and that's something that me and Offset have been debating about. But it's like right now, like it's like one of the biggest things that be stressing us out is like our properties, whether it's home properties or whether investment properties. So no, I love me a good fucking brick. We have tenants that have even
I love this. This is a perfect example.
Let me clear my throw up out of my throat.
This is a perfect example of piss poor management and someone buying property and thinking, quote unquote, it's easy. There's a process, and I just spoke about the process. If you don't skip the process, you could be successful. So whenever I've had a problem with a tenant, the first question I still ask myself is, what did I do wrong? What were the signs that I missed? What should I have done differently in my vetting process? Right? So I am Chris, you know how diligent I am in reference to this. I don't even know if I would be able to pass the application process to get my own apartment. Now, the application process is extremely diligent and difficult. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to have a problem. What it means is that you're going to lessen the probability of having a problem. But the reality is, whoever's managing those properties for her are not doing their job. Those are not property managers. Those are not experienced real estate investors. So we limit our risk by our due diligence and following the process, primarily in the beginning stage of the application process. So if I get an application that I could barely read the handwriting, that's going in the garbage, right into the shredder. I don't even try to read it. If I get an application that's incomplete, it goes into the shredder. I don't even respond to it. And when they call me up and they say, is this person accepted, or the person themselves call me, I says, no, I didn't even look at it. I gave you a list of documentation that I expected to get with the application. You were missing several of them, number 3, 4, 5, and 6. Well, why didn't you call me? Why do I have to call you? That's an indication of their personality. So I'm going to have to call you because I didn't get the rent yet to remind you to send me the rent. I'm going to have to call you to tell you to remove the bicycles and the strollers and the carriages from the hallway because it clearly states in the lease you're not supposed to have that in the hallway. No, that's an indication of a personality trait. So if Cardi B had the right management company in place or the right real estate investor guiding her, she wouldn't have these problems. She would be speaking a different. She'd be speaking a different tone.
A whole different tone. Then the whole time she's talking, my brain was just like, this goes back to a who, not how. All she need to do is have the right person in place. I think about my business now. I'm like, I can pick up the phone. I think about you too often, Dan, with your guys. What was his name? Lefty? Is that his name?
Lefty.
You can call this guy. Like, you wouldn't think twice. Like, boom, boom, boom. What needs to be done? Okay, let him know I'm done. That's another thing off. You don't even need to think about it. So I got guys like that.
I have that guy's my right hand man, and you met him twice. And essentially, on Sunday, I was at Home Depot early in the morning, passed by his house because I had no intention of going into Brooklyn with him. And we put into his car what he was going to need to work on Monday and Tuesday.
Sweet.
This was Sunday morning, right?
So
but he's been with me 26 years now. Mm-hmm. And the reason he's been with me 26 years is because when I call him on a Sunday and all it's going to take is 5 minutes, drive by his house to put this in his car, he picks up the phone. Now, if he was the guy who said to me, hey, listen, my wife really gets upset when you call me on a Sunday because it's my day off. I says, okay, no problem. He's the first one gone when I found that other person who doesn't get upset that I'm calling him on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying anything about wives. It could be the husband. It could be whatever that is, right? Whatever that particular other spouse may be. Mm-hmm. People who are team players are always looking to contribute. And that's why he's been with me 26 years. And he gets handsomely paid.
Yeah.
For his contributions.
Well, I'm not really big into this whole urban hip hop scene anymore, but I believe we have to tap into those eyeballs, Dan, because those are the people that are following this mess and could possibly be influenced by someone telling them, maybe I don't want to get a rental property. And you can keep renting for your whole life and work for nothing your whole entire life. By the time you get 60, 70 years old, you got zero. I don't, those are the people that I feel like we need to reach that are possibly going.
What I was upset was how then she's promoting the fact that she'd rather go spend her money on bags, right? So everyone here, we're not all Cardi B. Cardi B doesn't need real estate to be wealthy.
She got publishing.
Right. So you preaching to an audience that's
her followers do.
Right.
Her followers do, Dan.
Right. So she's preaching to her followers who most of them already have the mentality that being rich is looking rich, rather than our mentality, you and I, Chris, where we're like, we don't have to look rich to be rich.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the biggest problems in our community is that too.
I just wanted to get your take. I thought about you when I first heard that. I'm like, ooh, I wonder if Dan Borrero. I would love to hear what he gonna say. I know you're gonna no doubt do it on your IG.
I was thinking of it, but I was like,
Dan. That's where you get mass appeal. People always ask a lot. Chris? Why is your channel so big? Mass appeal. You can't just do it, Dan. You know I got mad love for you, and I know you don't want to even bring this up, but unfortunately, I'm asking you to do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do, and
you know what, Chris?
I
am going to do it now that you say it.
It just needs to be done. I'm like, okay,
right.
Yeah,
we both need to address it. Actually,
we should. I mean, when I saw it, I was like, I'm not speaking on this. But then I thought it rolled around in my head. I'm like, you know what, dude, this needs to really come out because for an influencer, dude, the lady, she's larger than life. For her, and just think about 20-year-old, 21-year-old, 22, 23-year-old people, Dan, that could really change the trajectory of their futures. Thinking about not buying real estate because your property manager gonna screw it. And I mean, this could really have impact.
The reality is this: artists don't think business, right? Most artists don't. And I wouldn't doubt, and again, I don't know if this is the case. I'm just surmising. Did she give this to somebody who's a friend of hers to manage?
Dan, it can't. Hold on. What do you mean? It can't be a professional property manager, or it wouldn't be going down like this. I mean, it's impossible.
Precisely.
So the thing that she's speaking on, whoever she hired, it's the wrong who.
It's the wrong who. And you shouldn't be hiring people based on because they're family or friends. You should be hiring people based on ability, past performance, and their character.
So y'all, please, man. I know everybody follows these cats, man, and they're looking at. And I'm not saying the Birkin bag is not a good investment. They cost 30 grand. I mean, I know they're super expensive. They may be, but can you live in it? Can you rent them out? Can you refinance them? Can you borrow against them? Can you rent out the rooms? I mean, there's so many things that I want to make sure that my roundup community understands that. Let's think twice about the data that we're getting in our minds. And yes, if you hire the wrong who in your business, it will be a little painful. Dan and I'm sure, I don't know about Dan, but I've gone through a ton of who's, okay? And I want y'all to know that.
In the beginning part of my career, I almost lost everything because of the wrong who.
It's all about the who. Who?
Like the wrong partner, the wrong contractor, the wrong mortgage broker,
Who, whatever. You put who is so high level, right? So I'm trying to think high level in my life now, right? So whatever the who is, that's your who, my who. But when the whole time I'm listening to her, like, dude, all you need is the right who. It's just real simple. So, y'all, we're done with that. I just wanted to hear your take on it, Dan. I'm over with it, man. So this,
you know what? I think we should do something like that again. That was good, man.
I'm telling you, Dan. The first thing I heard, I thought about you. I'm like, oh man, I've got to hear what Dan has to say about.
Meaning, I think we should maybe do this once a week or something like current affairs, man. Because that's when I said to you, can you bring it up? As I was saying it to you, I said, see, I wouldn't be able to do it because I'm technology inclined, but I know Chris could do it. That's why I said, could Chris bring that up?
Maybe we could. We'll think about that for next year, for the end of the year or first of the year. That'd be fun, man. So I'm with that. This Sunday, 12 o'clock, we're doing our lunch and learn, and the links in the video description. Washington, D.C., National Harbor. Dan, tell them a little bit about. Let's piggyback off this Cardi B thing. How do we make sure our people don't get hemmed up in a situation like that?
Listen, like I said earlier, it all starts with the application process, which we're going to be discussing extensively, I should say. at the Lunch and Learn, right? So, among other things, of course. But this is like dear to my heart because I truly believe that there's so much information out there on how to acquire the property, how to finance a property, how to, fix and flip the property,
Renovation,
renovation. There's
BRRRR.
all this out there, right? Which is great. I'm so happy it is because it literally cuts the learning curve dramatically for people today versus when you and I got into the business, right? But what no one's talking about out there is the reality of how do you manage now the asset? And managing that asset is not just managing your contractors and managing the payments that you have to make for your utilities, uh, your mortgage, your insurance, but it's also how do you manage the tenant? Because if you don't know how to manage that tenant, or if you have no idea on the intricacy of how to vet a tenant through the tenant application process, what questions do you ask that tenant in the interview? Why do you ask the questions? What questions you should be asking that may lead to another question, right? How do you dissect that person's facial expressions when you're talking to them, or their body language, right? Even down to checking out their social media, right? So when I go through extensive, I do an extensive background check primarily because if that property cost me $200,000, I just gave my $200,000 baby to some stranger to take care of for me. That's what I just did. Would you give your $200,000 asset that you sweated like hell to get a down payment, to refinance, to get the financing, to renovate it, to then rent it? Would you just give that would you give your child to just anybody? That property is my child.
Wow, that's a good point, man. So we're talking about tenant screening. Dan's going to help us. Dan, I'm here to tell you, that's what almost put me out of business. Tenant management. Once again, it all goes down to who. In this case, the who is your tenant. They are your employee who you're putting into these properties. It's extremely important. That's what almost put me out of business, Dan, in 2010, man. Sleeping in the bed at night.
It's actually put a lot of people out of business, especially during the pandemic, especially if they were mom and pop landlords, especially if they, like in New York City, where they live downstairs and a tenant lived upstairs. The reality is in New York City right now, it's taking about 18 months to get rid of a tenant.
Good God. Rent. So Dan, you have the best lease and the addendums. You guys, Dan is going to go over some of that stuff to show you what questions to ask, all that checklist on when people move out. It's just phenomenal stuff. So that's going to be this Sunday, 12 o'clock, National Harbor. The link's in the video description. Dan's going to meet us in person. Not only that, we want to meet you, impart to you some of the information that we've learned in our short. I've been doing it next year, my 20th year, Dan. 20 years in the real estate business. I can't believe I made it, dude.
You know what? I never looked at it that way until I got on social media, because then people would ask me, how long you been in the business? I said, I don't know. I bought my first building in 89. They'd be like, 89? I was just born, or I was just graduating from high school in 89. That's when I started thinking to myself, well, damn, I've been in it a long time.
You started to say, you know what? Hey man, I'm gonna stop believing with my wife. I'm okay, man.
Yeah. I'm gonna start believing I'm the man instead of believing like when I get home, my wife yelling at me, pick up my socks. Like.
I am somebody, man. Gosh darn it, I had to tell myself that too. I come home, I'm like, you know what? I'm really a big deal. I do.
It's funny, Chris. I was at a conference where I was asked to speak in Florida. This happened about a year and a half ago. And, all these people want to take pictures with me. And I'm like,
you the man.
Everybody wants to talk to you and pick your brain, which is cool. I love it. Right. And I get home, the next day. I got home late because as a result of the conference, you set up meetings the following day. And so I took a later flight home, and I get home exhausted, hadn't eaten anything. Go to the family room. Everybody's sleeping. My wife was kind enough to serve my plate or whatever, and she comes back down and she says, "Just remember, make sure you pick up your socks when you come upstairs." I'm like, but with an anger, like if I was a child, like, make sure you pick up your socks. And I'm like, ain't this a bitch? Like, like,
You ain't know. Let me bring
reality check. You're home. You nobody here.
So y'all, I'm gonna be training. This is a training lunch and learn. I'm gonna be going over some subject 2 stuff. So if you got some cloudy visions of subject 2 and lease options and creative financing, you want to get your questions answered, put yourself in the room. It's going to be National Harbor this Sunday. The link's in the video description. Reserve your seat now. Don't wait. We're going to be allowing 16 people. All right. If you don't know something, he who understands creative financing over the next 5 years is going to crush real estate. I'm already living it. I bought 2 houses last month. I'm sorry, 3, using these subject 2 strategies, y'all. So the reason I'm trying to beat it into y'all is because we want to buy those houses from 2020 to 2022 that have those low interest rates. I'm seeing it. Y'all follow my channel. I can bring the mortgage payments up. I can show you. I'm buying them at 3%. I'm buying them at 4%, where everybody else is going out there and buying houses at 8%. You could do this, man. You could do it.
Kris is the man when it comes to creative financing. The extent of my creative financing is private lending, getting private money. But Kris took it to a whole different level. I personally believe that everybody should be watching what Kris is doing and learning from it, right? Because that's part of the process of the acquisition of the property. Not only buying it at the right number, but getting it with the correct financing, where you're not killing yourself with payments for that property, right? So again, you have to be in the room to not only get this information, but you may be meeting your next contractor, your next realtor, your next mortgage broker, your next partner, your next private money lender. You might meet your next spouse. Who knows? But the point is, you're never going to have that opportunity unless you put yourself in the room. And that's right, Kris. You say you met your spouse at one of these events, right?
I did. I met my wife at a real estate investing meetup, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So you never know who you're going to meet.
And that's how Kris and I also met at an event.
Put yourself in a room, and you got to get from behind that damn computer screen from time to time, and I'm guilty of it too. That's why Dan is actually getting in his car, driving down from New York, right? He didn't have to do this. We're gonna be doing some other stuff after that. I'm driving up from Virginia Beach right up to DC, and we would love to meet you. So we're doing this event because
Kris and I are both leaving the morning of to be there by 12, which means I literally got to leave my house by 6:30 to make sure that I'm on time in case we hit traffic or something.
There you go. Me too.
Then we have to, then we have to bring everything to you, meaning we give 110%. So we have to be in the room giving you 110%. And then after that, Kris and I are going to be brainstorming on a new project that we're going to be doing, God knows until what time of the night. And then the next morning, I'm taking a 7 o'clock. I'll be back on the road at 7 in the morning. Now, guys, if Kris and I could do this for your benefit, there's absolutely no reason why you all cannot be there.
That's right. That's a good point, Dan. That's a good point. The energy, man. I like to stick to the energy. And both of us follow multi-millionaires. I don't even know. Pat might be a billionaire by now. You saw he bought the New York Yankees or something?
Yeah, but I think he also just sold his insurance company for like an enormous amount of money. I don't know how much.
I'm sure whatever it is a big number. So even Dan and I, we put ourselves in a room with guys that are earning more than us, right? So, and I'm not saying
we spend a whole lot more money than $275.
Oh yeah, way more than that, and more tickets, hotel, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I look forward to meeting you this Sunday. Okay, the link is in the video description. Once you sign up and reserve your seat, you'll get a page. It will give you the restaurant and the address. Just make sure you save that address so you can meet us there at 12 o'clock this Sunday. I look forward to it, Dan. Dan, you're going to be bringing down, I want to make sure that you share some of those lease addendums, at least give some of the bullets on all the items when they move out and how much it costs. I never knew that you could charge. I know you could do it, but you let people know how much each thing is before the
So
people
right
move
on
out.
my lease, you know, again, it starts with the application process, and then it starts with your management, how you manage those tenants. But to manage those tenants, you need specific documents, right? And the first document that literally dictates the relationship is your lease. Now, my lease is extremely extensive. It's probably 8 or 9 pages long. But one of the things that I've learned, remember, guys, I've been schooled by the best professional
Oh
tenants.
my Lord.
There's nothing
Say
in
that
there.
again, Dan.
I've been
Professional
schooled.
what?
I've been schooled by professional tenants.
Notice he didn't say he'd been schooled by professional investors.
No, schooled by professional tenants. And every time they schooled me, I get on the phone with my attorney and I say, okay, how do I protect myself verbally on the lease so that this doesn't happen to me again? Right. So one of the things is when I always send the lease 2 to 3 days prior to the date that we're going to sign the lease, myself and the tenant. And if that tenant doesn't have at least 5 to 6 questions for me, I know that tenant didn't read the lease. I don't want that tenant.
Yeah, your lease is like a dictionary.
Right? Because if they didn't read the lease, that means they have no intentions of complying with that lease. So I don't want that tenant.
Good point.
Right?
Good point, Dan.
So my lease is so extensive that they should have no less than 5 or 6 questions, minimal. Now, in my lease, there's a section where I outline whatever the deductions from their security deposit is going to be that they're agreeing to prior to them even taking possession of the apartment. So let's cover that a little bit while we're here. Not only am I giving them the lease, they also have to sign pictures of the condition the apartment's in. Every room, 2 to 3 pictures per room, including the insides of all the appliances. Okay, so why am I taking the inside pictures? So I'm showing proof that I gave it to them in a spotless condition, clean, spotless. So now in the lease it says if I gotta clean that oven, it's $95. If I gotta clean the refrigerator, it's $95. If I gotta clean that bathroom, it's $150. For every bag of garbage I remove, it's $65. If I've got to clean a light fixture or a ceiling fan, that's $25. If I got to replace the battery in the smoke detector, that's $20. Now, when someone tells me they're leaving,
Hold on, Dan, give us the thumbs up. Hit that one thing down there. That is just brilliant. Go ahead. I'm sorry to hit the
now, if
thumbs up.
someone tells me they're leaving, I say, sure, not a problem. I send them back an email confirming that I understand that they're leaving on such and such date. And then I refer them back to that section of the lease, the page and the article number.
Oh, you let them know.
Right. So that I don't have to deduct anything from your security deposit. Please review this part of the lease, essentially, so that you know what your responsibilities are prior to you vacating. So now, when they leave, let's say the refrigerator is dirty. That's $95. I not only do I put it in an itemized letter form, and I have all this on my website. I itemize every expense deduction, and I give them a picture of what I'm itemizing for.
I like that.
Including if it's something that I had to pay a contractor to fix, including a copy of the invoice from the contractor, right? So when I've been taken to court 3 times, accused of being overly aggressive with deductions and security deposits. And every time I've gone to court, I always countersue. Because what happens is I usually send out the deductions within a week to 2 weeks. Now, the law where I'm at states that I have 30 days, but I get it out pretty quick, right? It's off my desk. It's done. Every once in a while, something else will come up that I didn't deduct for. Now, when they take me back to court, it allows me the opportunity to now sue them for the deduction that I may not have put on the first letter, including my time, including the cost for my parking, right? Including whatever those administration costs are. So I have never lost, and I've always won my countersuit.
Wow.
Because I'm telling the judge, this is what they agreed to on the lease to sign. Here's a copy of the email I sent them, referring them back to this section of the lease. Here's a copy of the certified letter I sent them, telling them that I accepted their departure date, plus again referring them back to that part of the lease, so I don't have to make these deductions. Here's a pictures. Here's proof of the pictures they signed, so they can't say they got it like that with a hole in the wall, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here's the pictures that the way they left it, and here's copies of my invoice. What else could I have done, Judge?
Nothing. You got them.
Right.
Checkmate. And that comes from years of experience, right?
Precisely.
Yeah. So
that comes from years of getting beat up.
Yeah, getting beat down. So y'all, we're gonna get out of here this Sunday, October 22nd. Make sure you're in the room. Vote yourself in. We would like to help you put an action plan together for you and your real estate business. Okay, we would like to. We want you to end 2003 in a bang and get ready for 2024. And getting yourself around other like-minded thinking individuals is a way to do that. All right, so
be in the room, not be in the room. Get in the room.
Put your behind in the room. All right.
Get yourself in that room. How many people do we have on here, Chris, right now?
We got 30.
Good for you. Anybody have any questions before we go?
No, I didn't see any questions actually.
Well, maybe we should ask them. You guys have any questions?
Oh yeah, if you got any questions, real quick, if y'all got any questions, bring them in. You got Dan Borrero on here. I'm telling you won't be able to just pick the phone up and call him at any time. The man manages a ton of properties. He's doing renovations. He's doing deals in 2-3 different states. So it's just an honor to have him. The links in the oh shoot, you're on Facebook. My bad. Let me put the link over there on Facebook. We got some seats left, and this is going to be small and intimate. Okay.
Yeah, we're literally keeping it to 15 people, right? We don't want more than that. I mean, I'd love to have more than that. The problem is we only have 4 hours, and we want to make sure everyone gets our individual attention and everyone's questions are answered in depth, not, briefly going over it because we're in a hurry to get to the next one. Our goal is to educate.
Here's the link, y'all. I'll put it in the comments. Reserve here. See, and this is not, y'all. This is an extremely nice place. Top-notch A+ food, and we got several other entrepreneurs coming. You'll get to meet Michelle. Thanks, really appreciate you guys. Yes, you are welcome. You are welcome. You're welcome. The links in the video description or in the comments. Kim, so she'll ask. It's Sunday. Kimberly, I look forward to. Oh, she put Sunday. Okay. Well, if you got questions, I guess people will probably be in the room, Dan, so they're reserving their questions for when we get there.
Again, guys, it's only 15 seats. Now, the room holds like 50 or 40, I think it was, right, Chris?
Something like that. I don't even know.
We limited it to 50 because we've done this in the past. The last one, we've done it once before in Maryland. We've done
It sold out. It just sold out. It sold out in Maryland.
Yeah, it sold out in Maryland. It also sold out in New Jersey twice.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't have any more seats. You're right.
Yeah. So again, we
did.
Don't be in a position where you wait till the last minute and say, "Oh man, I wish I could." Then you're gonna try to buy a ticket and it's gone.
Yeah.
Get in the room.
Okay, round up, homies. I love you. Make sure you subscribe, like the content, share with somebody other. If you know somebody that's thinking about getting in this business or is getting hammered right now, or somebody that's like, I hear this a lot. I just can't find my next deal. Or I just can't seem to get my position in this business. This is the place to come so you can network with other people in your market. No doubt, I already see people that got tickets from New York. Some people are coming down from New York. I don't know where people are coming from, so you won't know until you get there. This is the time. Dan, let me ask you, talk about real quick before we go. When somebody says, is it a good time to get in real estate?
It's always a good time.
What would you say?
It's always a good time. Look, the reality is I bought less real estate from 2018 to 2022 than I bought from, let's say, per year. Okay, per year. From 2010 to 2017, well, let me put it this way. In 2017, I did 187 closings, right?
Good gracious.
And last year, I think I did less than 40 closings, or about 42 closings, actually. This year, 2023, I may be at about 45 closings. So, is it a good time? In my opinion, the best time is when everyone is like running out of the fire. That's what real estate investors are like firemen. We run into the fire.
We run to the fire.
We're like everybody's running away with fear in their eyes, and Chris Haskins and I, we're like, we're running there.
I don't want people to think that it's easy. We have trained ourselves. Well, I'm gonna say for myself, I've had to go through. Just imagine a boxer that goes through this training to make their minds magnetized when they get in that ring. I've had to train myself over and over and over to remind myself when people running that way, I'm going this way.
Yeah, we don't, Chris. Real estate investors don't follow the herd or the trends.
You can't, man. You won't be in business long.
And the reality is, we're constantly studying the market, and because we've been in it so long, and because we've studied it so well, we're usually a little bit ahead of the curve, right? You have to anticipate where the population level is going to be going, and one of the ways you anticipate where that's going is by watching, or where's the best tax incentives. Southern states have the best tax incentives. That's why you have so many people from the Northeast, after they retire, moving to the South, not primarily because of the weather, but because, like, for instance, the state of Florida, state of Texas, there's no sales tax, there's no income tax, right? So you immediately save 17%
sweet
of your income by moving to the state of Florida, right?
Real quick.
So we were buying in there in 2010 primarily because of that reason.
Time to buy is now, y'all. I can't say it enough. King Q, if I'm a licensed real estate agent, can I still buy subject to?
Of course.
Absolutely. Absolutely, my brother.
Without a doubt.
In fact, you got a heads up because you can put your offers in yourself. You don't have to worry about convincing a realtor to submit a daggone subject to offer that they don't know anything about.
Yeah. Not only that, listen to this. If you don't get the deal, you now have the opportunity to pitch that person to let you list it on their behalf, and you still make money.
Yeah, you sweet on that. You sweet, bro. Fritz, do we feel a recession is coming because banks are not loaning money as easily? Dan?
I got to tell you, under normal circumstances, we should have been in a deep recession.
Way by now.
Yeah, but because, which I didn't account for, I was ready for a recession. I still am. What the reality is that COVID has turned everything upside down, in the sense COVID was a dramatic experience, was a dramatic trauma on our country, around the world. But the way the government responded was unprecedented, meaning that they were giving out so much free money that it was unrealistic not to believe that we wouldn't have 9% inflation rate. It was unrealistic not to believe that people were going to get lazy and didn't want to go back to work. So here we got, in this country right now, if you're not working, it's because you choose not to work, not because you can't get a job.
Yeah, right? Jobs are everywhere.
Right.
I never forget Robert Kiyosaki used to always say that. There's jobs everywhere. I mean, you can get a job anywhere.
You know what? And I remember when I graduated from college, it was real difficult finding a job in 1985 because of where the recession was going. And I remember saying to myself, I'm going to make my job.
I love it. I like that, Dan.
I'm going to make a job for myself. Right. So that's the wonderful part about being in this country.
Create. The book says in the beginning, he created. You got to create, y'all. If you got depression, I'm not a doctor or nothing, but what I found was if you're suffering from any type of like mental issues, when you sit down and you create, really helps getting the brain going, man. Create. What up, Paris? Minister of Real Estate. Thank you so much, Dan. Yep. He's loving the real estate climate right now. You right about that, brother. It's probably the best time to get into real estate. Yep. Better. Do you think it's better than 2010, Dan?
Yeah, look, the reality is this. I love when interest rates are high because property value comes down.
Yep.
When interest rates come down, property value goes dramatically high. Now, all these people that got this property at 2.5% bought here. Now, this is where they bought it at because this is where interest rates were. Interest rates have risen. Those property values are going like this right now, right? So if they sell at 2.5%, they may not be getting out with all their money, but the rates are so low, they could rent that.
That's where I want to go to. Dan, let me ask you, man. I hate to cut you off, but this is another thing I thought about you. I'm getting a lot of rental properties coming on the market. What is your opinion, since you've been doing this longer than me? People ain't going to be selling these houses with these low interest rates. Do you think that's going to soften the rental market? Because no doubt we're going to have a lot more rental properties in the near future from people that don't want to sell or can't sell.
So I think it's going to increase. Builders, for instance, are now making tons of money because there's a lot of inventory at 2.5%, 3%, 4% that people ain't selling. So that inventory is off the market. As a result of the 2008 fiasco, builders didn't build for approximately 6 years. And when they started to build, they couldn't move fast enough to meet the demand because there was no new inventory coming in from 2008 to 2014. So we had a lack of new homes then. Then, just as they're getting on their feet, COVID hits and stops all production for another 18 months minimum. Then we have the high interest rates. Builders pull back. But then they realize, hold on a second, it doesn't make a difference because people can't find existing homes, so they need us to build. There's still a high demand. So, what was the question? I'm sorry.
I want to know, do you think rental market is going to be soft because all the people that got those interest rates?
I believe it may get soft in some areas and versus others. Like in New York City, it's not getting soft.
Not there.
No, New York City, for multiple reasons. Again, this is when self-education comes into play. My rents have gone up $200-$300 a year per door, right? Because the reality is we have politicians making these stupid laws, like in the city of New York with rent stabilization. I don't own none of my buildings are rent stabilized because I stay away from those type of properties. So, but they make it, they pass all these laws where these landlords have to, let's say it's costing a landlord approximately $90,000 to $110,000 to renovate an apartment. If they do it the way the city wants them to do it, with the permits, getting rid of asbestos and the lead paint and the galvanized plumbing and everything else that they want you to do according to the codes that they've put in. Mm-hmm. But you could only raise, so they expect you to put $110,000 into an apartment, but you can't raise the rent more than $80.
Yeah, that's crazy, yo.
And then at the end of 30 years, when you get back your $110,000, you got to lower the rent to $80.
All right, y'all. We'll see you this coming Sunday. I gotta get out of here, Dan. You too. This Sunday, the links in the video description. Lunch and Learn with Dan Borrero, Kris Haskins, who will be in Washington, D.C., National Harbor. All right, come on down, join us. Put yourself in the room, network, meet somebody new in your life. Get around people that think like you and want to actually crush it by the end of the year and for 2024.
Kris, are you going to be posting this on YouTube, I assume?
It's live right now.
But you're going to post it on YouTube?
Yeah, it stays on right after this.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna transfer it over to my page as well.
Yeah, we could just give you share the link.
Oh, please do that.
All right, y'all. See you soon. Peace.
Hey, everyone. See you all Sunday, 12 o'clock.
That's right.
Take care.